welcoming him to his year. Cam, I wanted to ask you, first of all, thank you so much for coming and making the time to just be here with us and one of your many appearances for the year. Tell us what brought you to, I guess, audition for the Duke, and how are you liking it so far?
Oh my goodness. I think probably 14 different times being asked by Connie, who is incredible and amazing. If you guys don't know Connie, she's literally the most wonderful herder of cats and dragons on the planet. When I got asked, I was just so grateful because the Duke of Orange as an experience it's a time when we get to come together, we get to laugh at each other, spend time building community, and raising money for great organizations. So it's been such a gift and such a privilege, and now it's been a really fun honor to get to represent the city in this way, alongside Callista, who's been amazing. It's been such a great year for her, so it's just been a real gift. It's been fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We're so glad that you did it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
He brought his crown with him, so if you want photos with him and his crown afterwards, I'm sure he might oblige you.
Maybe I'll get one with him.
I think you could. We can find a good word for you. All right, so let's see. Do we have any representatives? I see Garrett is in the house. Garrett, welcome. Did you bring any friends with you?
Sorry. No friends today.
No friends today. Well, as you all know, I see a lot of new faces though. So for those of you who don't know, today's segment is open. Our guest is here for you to ask questions. He's seen my many list of questions here, but we could be here all day with my questions. He's here for you. So if you have questions by raise of hand, we'll get those answered for you. Hopefully, we do like to do a hard stop at least by 9 o'clock just because people have to get to work. Everyone here has to go home. But I believe Chief does have some extra time, so he'll be here afterwards to chat with you for a little bit if you'd like. And with that, it is my pleasure to introduce to you Orange City Fire Chief Alan Velasco. Let's see if I can clip this and not hold it. Is that weird?
No.
Okay. Before we dive into some questions, I did want to do your brief bio, if that's okay.
That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, Chief Alan Velasco is a 25-year veteran of the Orange City Fire Department, having served the community in nearly every capacity from firefighter paramedic and captain to battalion chief and EOC director. His leadership is defined by a lead from the front philosophy and a deep-seated commitment to regional safety. A graduate of the Orange County Intelligence Assessment Center's Terrorism Liaison Program, Chief Velasco has been instrumental in preparing the region for large-scale emergencies, including WMD and active shooter response during the COVID-19 pandemic. He has steered the city through the crisis as the Emergency Operations Center Director. Today, as he is nearing completion of his master's degree, he continues to modernize the department through advanced technology and mentorship of the next generation of fire service leaders. Chief, welcome to Eggs and Issues.
Thank you.
As always, it's a beautiful day in Orange, so we're happy that you were able to come over from Station 1.
Of course.
It's so amazing to have you here. What I wanted to ask you first is, you've been with the department, as I just mentioned, for 25 years. From where you're sitting now, how is that different?
Well, when you're a young man and you're getting into the fire service, you have a totally different idea of what the fire service is like, right?
Okay.
You think you're going to go in there, fight fire, help people, kick butt and take names, basically, right?
Yeah.
You really have this different view of the whole profession, and as you grow into your and mature into that profession, you start to see all the different facets of the fire service. And there's so many facets of the fire service that, that saying, if you know, you know, really is true when it comes to the fire department. And that's why I appreciate you having me here to answer any of the questions, to try to get that kind of information out there. So as I progressed through my career, you gain more responsibilities, you see different types of events and other people, you meet different individuals within the department, not just firefighters. Then you start to realize the importance of the actual job. And every step that you take progressing through the department,
Right.
your voice and the impact gets a little bit louder. And so now that I've just recently become the fire chief and sat in this seat, I've just realized so much more on the importance of getting to know the community, getting community involvement, educating the public on all issues in the fire department, good and bad, because there are good and bad. That just it brings me where I am today. So yes, very, very different than being a captain or a firefighter on the engine, where you
Right.
see only your little bubble in your little world within the fire service.
Right.
It's so much more broad.
Well, as we dive in, we'll talk about training, but I think that's going to be one of the key things about bringing those leaders up from all the different ranks within the division of the department. So, for the community members who may not know, what is like your mission for the department for 2026? Where are we headed this year?
So for me stepping into this role, I really, first of all, I want to say that I really, really love the Orange Fire Department. It's provided me with so much opportunity and so much knowledge and allowed me to grow as a human being. So that is one of the major things that kind of drive my passion or my guiding light, if you will, on where to bring the department. So with that, one of my main priorities obviously is my people, the men and women of the fire department. A saying in the fire department we always talk about is everyone gets home safe, right? And for most people, what that means is everyone gets home safe from all the dangerous incidents that they go on. But it's a lot more than that. It's more of everyone gets home safe and sound of mind and body, if you will. And in the fire service, there's a lot of things. So we all know the great side of the fire department, and I talked about kind of like the negative aspects of the job. Well, I like it the other side of the coin, if you will, or the dark side of the fire department, however you want to say it. We've had recently some very bad instances that have happened with some of our retired firefighters, if you haven't known. And mental wellness is a very, very, very big topic for the fire service in general, all over the state, all over the nation. It's one of the highest professions in divorce. It's one of the highest professions in suicide. It's one of the highest professions in cancer after you retire. So all those things that if you know, you know, we know, but not everybody knows that. So one of my biggest priorities moving forward from here, especially with the two individuals that we had that passed, is to drive mental wellness and to make sure that our folks from cradle to grave, even past retirement, is taken care of mentally and healthy, of sound mind and body, so they can actually enjoy their retirement and enjoy the afterlife, you know, everything that we thought we were getting into the business for. So that's one.
That's a great mission.
You know, so that's one of the things. So culturally, you have one of the best fire departments, I would say, in the nation. We are the best. I will stand behind that 1,000%. So culturally, the men and women of our department are just driven. You know, everything's as a bell curve, right? In life, you have your top 10% highest performers, your 10% lowest performers, and everyone in the middle, right? But this bell curve is shifted towards a very high standard for Orange, where it's you know, when we talk about the Orange Way, well, the Orange Way in the OFD is a very, very, very high standard, including myself. We're consistent with that. There's not a lot of micromanagement in our fire department because of, we call it like the street justice out there. You know, there's more embarrassment if you're not doing a good job in our department, as opposed to other departments where maybe it's like, I just want to do that, it's not my job, I'm not going to do this.
Right.
But we cultivate a environment of selflessness, think of the other person beside you, and of don't be lazy, work extremely hard, and you will succeed in our department, right? So culturally, just going back to that, we're top notch. There's hands down. Operationally, obviously, there's always room to grow operationally. And what I mean by operationally, it's not the skills or the abilities of our fire department, because they do it very, very well. In fact, other departments often seek our advice on how to perform or how do we handle certain things. But what I mean operationally is that we can become a better department and serve the citizens better by creating a bigger program and scaling it up. We are one of the only 2 departments in the county that run 3.0 engine companies. And when I mean 3.0 engine company is 3-person. So we only run our fire engines with 3 people, where most of the fire departments in Orange County, like I said, all of the rest except for one other one runs 4-person fire departments.
Oh.
And in that sense, that's a 33% increase in service level on fires, on emergencies, on everything that needs to be done, just adding that 1 person. So with that, it obviously takes money, and you need to find those funds to be able to do that. One of my priorities right now, which is on the table, is to transition our AO program. And this kind of gets, there's a lot of layers to this, so hopefully you can follow or it makes sense here.
It does. But maybe just tell everybody I know it's the ambulance operator, but maybe just share what that is for anyone who may not know.
So in Orange County, and throughout the state for that matter, there are ambulances, as we all know. In Orange specifically, we provide our own transport program, which has always been the Orange way since I believe it was in the 90s when they started the transport program. And when it initially started, it started with full-time firefighters on there. So the firefighter paramedics then went on to the ambulances to provide this service for the city. But that's not really the most ideal way to do it, right? That's very expensive. You know, firefighters are expensive. Why are they not on fire engine and they're on ambulances? It brings a lot to question, right? And with the call volume, when I first got hired, we ran like 7,000 calls a year, and now it's close to 19,000 calls a year. That just doesn't make sense, right? So it's easier to hire EMTs. You see these private companies out there and all the other stuff out there. You see Falk ambulance, emergency ambulance, all those things. That's another way to provide service. However, the thing with our department is that when we provide the service and insurance is paid, City of Orange captures all of that revenue and all of that billing. When you go to a private ambulance, there's a pass-through, and so they pay anywhere from $500 to maybe $1,000 per call, but that's a very, very small portion of the labor and all the stuff that it takes to keep that system going. So all that to say, what happened is that, so now we're transitioning, and back in 2010, we lost 12 bodies because of budget constraint, right? So during that time, those 12 bodies went away through attrition, our staffing went down, and that included our trucks. And the difference between a fire engine and a truck is the trucks have the ladders and the fire engine have the water, just for basics, right? Normally, our trucks were running 4.0 staffing, so they had 4-person staffing, but the fire engines had 3. During that time in 2010, they took that 1 body off, right? So then we were running 3-person truck companies and 3-person fire engines, which is very much not the best way to do business. So what happened after that is we started to move towards this transition, and we did a hybrid. We had, a few years ago, we took firefighters off the ambulances and hired AO ambulance operators.
Okay.
But it was only on 2 of our ambulances. And we took those bodies from those ambulances and put them back on the trucks so that we can have 4.0 staffing on our trucks again, which is something that was like, thank God we did that. Chief DiMetropolis, who was an amazing chief, he was the one that spearheaded that whole thing, and it was amazing. So now we have this hybrid, which is even more, funky, if you will, for lack of a better term, where you have half firefighters on some of the rescues, and which we call rescue ambulances because they're firefighters, and then ambulance operators on 2 of our ambulances, right?
Okay.
So what I'm proposing to do, or trying to do, is transition all the firefighters back onto the engines and hire ambulance operators for the remainder of our fleet, if you will, for ambulances. And what that does is we can hire these EMTs for 1/4 to 1/3 the cost of the firefighters. Additionally, these are our hiring pool. They become part of the hiring pool where you can look at these individuals and you really see how they are in the fire station and performing. It's one of those things where we're able to look at them and go, do they do it the orange way? Are they selfless, like I was saying? Do they work hard? Do they think of the person next to them? Do they have all the qualities of the orange firefighter that we're looking for? And when they don't, they don't. We still promote them to get hired in other agencies,
Right.
which I think we have about, the program's been around for, I think, 3 years now. And I think there's probably 25 of them are spread out throughout all over the place.
Okay.
So we just hired a bunch of them with us, so that's also a good thing. So with that would be like my other priority is making sure that we bolster our department and scale it up.
Okay.
So, and then one other thing I just want to mention is that another priority of mine is to also increase staffing within the Prevention Bureau. Because we failed, everybody talks about the fire department, everybody talks about fire suppression, right? Everybody's fighting fire, medical aids, all that stuff. But a big part of our fire department, it is a very good part of our fire department, is our Fire Prevention Bureau. And again, when I talk about culture, that culture in that bureau and the way they work together is amazing. That's led up by one of our deputy chiefs, Doug Yates, and he's done a fantastic job with it. And they're the ones that are involved not only with plans checks and getting businesses up and running in the city, but also they are involved with all the community involvement, all the community education, going to the schools, and we have some fantastic people in there that have been doing that. I think there's really been an uptick in education with the fire service in the prevention
That's
bureau, so
amazing.
I'm trying to increase
How
that.
can the community, I guess, be involved in that portion? So as far as the ambulance operator, is there a course that maybe high schools are looking at, or how does that work for people to get in?
So for ambulance operator, if you're looking to become an ambulance operator, you just need to have your EMT and high school graduate. So we have plenty of those that will come in and they get hired and then they haven't even been to the fire academy yet.
Okay.
But they have aspirations of becoming a firefighter. And so what we do is we train them up and they get a taste of the fire service, and then they're still taking their classes, the prerequisite classes, and then when they go to the fire academy, there's times where we will sponsor them as one of ours. And then they go through the fire academy and they come back and they continue to work for us with all those credentials.
That's
So,
amazing.
yeah, that's how that works.
Well, one of the things you mentioned, or I've seen that you talk about, is the digital fireground era. So what does that mean in practical terms, and how have technologies like the automatic vehicle location and cradle point GPS changed the way that emergencies are dispatched and managed? I know we have so many emergencies, so how has that changed?
So what's changed in Orange over the years, so that's a fancy way of saying that there's no borders in our city.
Okay.
And so what that means is that back in the day, there used to be, we still have districts and all that, but to cross borders into other cities and work in each other's area, it was a little bit more difficult. They weren't able to determine who exactly was the closest.
Got it.
It was more determined on, this unit's not available, like Station 3 on the north end, so let's send Engine 5 from Anaheim into Station 3's area,
Okay.
right? Now with this, what we're talking about with the digital era and with the technologies out there, we use AVL, the automated vehicle locator. That program is made so that we always send the closest unit, regardless of where it is in the city, to that emergency. So it doesn't necessarily, especially along the fringes of Orange, it doesn't necessarily mean you're getting an orange engine or an orange truck or an orange unit. What it means is you're gonna get the closest. So it could be Anaheim, it could be OCFA, things of that nature. You'll always get, unless they're all busy, an orange ambulance or rescue ambulance, because those don't go out of the city.
Okay.
Very rare do they do, unless we have a mutual aid request for it. But you might get a different engine, and that's when you'll see an orange ambulance with a different, like an Anaheim rig or something like that.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I know one of the terms from the department has been the seconds matter, and so if you can share with everybody, what's the difference between like a 30-second or a 60-second response time? How does it affect people in a real emergency?
It depends, right? Because like we all know, seconds do matter, and it depends on the call, right? With fires, 30 seconds can mean the house burning down, or that the fire remaining into a room and contents fire. So that's very big. That's why clearances around the house, access to the house. When you go to the houses that are hoarding type of houses, it makes a big difference. Those seconds matter, and the earlier we can get there, the faster we can put that fire out. With 4.0 staffing, like I said earlier, it's 33% faster we can put that fire out. So that's even more so. When it comes to the medical aid side, it just depends on the call, right? Like if it's, believe me, there's been calls where you go for a cut finger, right? A paper cut at Chapman University. We've been to. Back when I was a paramedic, there's the kids, they don't know, right? It's like they were afraid of nerve damage. Do seconds matter there? It could be debatable, right? It happens, but it could be debatable, right? Maybe there is nerve damage, but when you come to different types of calls, like what we call advanced life support calls, right? So that would be an example of a basic life support call, and obviously a very low level basic life support call. But we have advanced life support calls, and in that sense, seconds matter tremendously. If it's a heart attack or a drowning baby or something of that nature, those seconds is oxygen to the brain. It's keeping your cells alive, and that is where, even when it's a traffic accident, we call it the golden hour, getting that person out onto an operating table where they can actually get something that's going to help them, not just stabilize them, right? That's where seconds truly matter, and that's where that AVL is like that's so much better than how it used to be.
Awesome.
So.
I know I've had to call you out just one time. Fire in the middle of the night. It's very fast for service. It was great experience. So how do you feel like the team manages the modernization versus like the human factor? Because we have all this technology here to help us, but there's still that human side. Do you feel that the department does a great job in putting those two together?
I think yes, we do. The thing with technology and human, like you bring up a good point, right? We can use technology for everything. With AI and everything, there's things that, depending on how you use it, it can assist you or it can inhibit you. The problem is that with a lot of these technologies like AVL, we have a new mapping system that I helped develop. There's all kinds of things, and our GIS, by the way, in the city is top notch. Those guys, they will do anything. They're amazing people over there. Sarah and Jim are, if you ever need anything with the maps and stuff, they're top notch. But we've done all that stuff. That said, there's an aspect of technology where it can help you, but you can't. It doesn't have that human thinking aspect to it. So developing it, depending on who's developing it, is a very big deal in my opinion. Here's an example. There's a lot of companies out there that do mapping programs, and we used to have one, and I can't remember the name of it. It was when I was not involved in at this level, but that mapping program was a private vendor that we hired to upgrade our maps, and we went from paper when I first started, which I still love paper maps.
I love paper maps. Love paper maps.
They never fail, right? To that program, and so when we went to that program, it was great. However, there's a lot of businesses, as you know, that pop up and go away, and pop up and go away, and addresses and housing communities. So all that stuff, we had to gather that information, send it to that vendor. They put it in the maps, which were great, and then it comes back to us. Well, you can imagine with all of the businesses and all the development in the city, that takes a lot of time. There's a big delay there, right? With our GIS, I love technology, and there's a new thing, it's called field maps, that we've developed here. It's free because the city already uses it, and we were able to grab all our maps, put it in there, eliminate the middleman. We're not spending any more money in the city because of it.
Right.
It's already, they do it all. And now when we use those maps, it has everything that we need from wildland maps, from historical wildfires, to plans on, like it's called the Tustin Orange Fire Plan. So when wildfire comes through, where do we put our engines, to running fires in other cities and maps. It has everything in it, and our GIS department developed it.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and on top of that, that program, Field Maps, is being used across the state on the wildfires. They're starting to transition from a different map program that they have to this Field Maps map program for wildfires across the state. So now all of our individuals that are in orange, when they go to these fires, they know the program, they can pull it up, they already have an account. It's just so much better. And then the reason why I bring this up is we would have never, if there wasn't that human aspect and using that human aspect to figure that out,
Right.
we wouldn't know what exactly we need, because in orange we know what we need, right? So, and that's how it transitioned to a broader thing. On top of that, another example is we have windshield surveys. So remember, the fire department is all hazard. So it's earthquakes, wind, flood, fire, you name it, we go. Unless it has to do with a gun, then we might stage and then go,
Yeah,
right? So there's all of that. So what we used to have was what we used to do when there was an earthquake, all fire engines are required to drive around the area, and it's called a windshield survey to assess damage of all the things, right?
Okay.
When there's the fires on the east end, they have to do a pseudo windshield survey to assess how many structures have been burned and all this. And all that has to go back to the emergency operations center and then sent up to the county for assessments, which in turn gets reimbursement from the state and blah, blah, blah. If you want to know, we can talk about that in a minute, but a lot of stuff there. There's a lot of layers there as well. So with the same umbrella program that we use in GIS, it used to be in a folder like one of these, and you used to turn the page and you go, okay, I got to go to this address, and we would drive. Nope, it's not damaged. Then we go to the next address. Nope, it's not damaged. And it was very, for the captains and the engines, they had to really plan out their route in their district to be efficient, right?
Right.
With this new program that was developed also that we're working on right now, it's called Quick Capture, and it's part of this. It's within the same umbrella as field maps. But with Quick Capture, what that is, it's GPS, right? It goes on all our iPads that we have on our engines. When you drive around and you see something that's damaged, it's already geolocated, and you just press, here's damage, and then a screen pops up. It says, is it building damage? Is there life hazard? Is there wires down? Is there flooding? They're all little boxes that are color-coded. They're great for firefighters because you just gotta look at the colors, and we color with crayons, so we're good. Just kidding. But you press that, and it geolocates, goes directly to the EOC, and now Public Works can get it, so they can go out there and fix that broken pipeline, or they could call somebody for wires down, or whatever it may be.
Right.
During earthquakes and wildfires, it also gives you a damage assessment, so that our planning section in the EOC can start putting together how much damage has been done in the city, all of that, and that's technology. But we would have never known if it wasn't for the fire department kind of taking it on and identifying a gap or a need in this process to develop that app. So
I'm guessing that probably the workload is probably just immensely decreased in that way, where you can just pull the reports and you can see everything right there.
yes, it
That's
absolutely
amazing.
makes it easy.
I
And
love
there's
that.
and when I talk about these programs, Field Maps is there, Quick Capture. There's so much more that it can do, and that's what we're doing now. We're working with GIS as well.
Very cool. Well, speaking of community, I see here we've got a couple things. Let's see, we've got. So, looks like we brought with us the paramedic membership program, and so there's these cards on the table. So for everyone, can you tell everybody what that program is and how they can get involved?
Absolutely. So the paramedic subscription program is a program that is available to all businesses and all residents in the city. And what it is a annual subscription for $68. And what that provides is that anytime you call 911 at your home, there's no money out of pocket. So the billing still happens, but no money comes out of pocket.
And just tell everybody, if you didn't have that, how much does that cost you?
That could be anywhere, depending on what it is and transports and what kind of insurance you have. It could be up to $2,500, $3,000 nowadays for that. So for $68 a year, it's kind of a nice insurance plan. But not only that does it cover you and your home, it covers visitors that come to your house. If your mom or your father are over there, or you have friends over for a party and somebody gets hurt, that covers it for you and for them. Also for businesses, for $68, up to 10 individuals in your business, it covers that. So if somebody gets hurt on your business property and you call 911 and we go transport, that person is covered, and it covers you for $68 a year. After 10, then it becomes incrementally increases in cost based on how many people you want to provide coverage for.
Right.
So
It's seems like a great program. Is
It's
anyone
great.
here part of the program? So we got a few people. Who is going to join now that they've heard it's $68? I think it's the best thing to do, honestly.
Yeah, it really is.
I know Chief Metropolis was not thrilled when I had my accident last year, and he's like, "Why aren't you in the program?" Like, and I was like, "I'm fine, good. Like, I'm gonna join, I promise." Okay, so I think now's a good time to take some questions. Anybody have any questions for the chief? Oh,
Do you use drones at all in your department?
We don't, but with that technology question, that's something that we're looking at. We're looking at the flock drone system, and I know OPD also is looking at that flock drone system. We would be using it in different capacities, but the thought right now is what we'd like to do is work on partnering with PD so that they'd be using it primarily. However, in wildfires or anything like that, it can be sent up and sent out there to bring us data on what type of fire or how big it is, or the perimeter, what it's affecting. Are there any values at risk on the other side, for the direction the fire is going? So it's definitely something on our radar. It costs a lot of money depending on what capacity you want to use it in, but it's definitely something that we're looking into. The problem with the drones, depending on the program, right? You need operators. You need them to be ready 24/7 for the fire department because we don't go home, at night. So you need all of those things in place and those logistics in place to make it a successful, program for the department. There are other remote aspects of it where you press a button, it goes up and it goes to a certain location within the city, and it usually. With that program, it has about a 3-mile radius, so it would have to be stationed. That actual unit would have to be stationed somewhere, unless you have an operator that can drive it out to where you need it to. So, but we're definitely looking at drones.
I see a question, Cam.
I know the city and the financial budget cuts are tough. You talked about needing staffing for your AO program, and I think people always get a little nervous about staffing. But is there a plan or a pathway that the AOs are actually going to help generate revenue for the city?
Yes, thank you for asking that question. So the way that we have structured, we've restructured the AO program at Orange Fire, and what we've developed is more of a centralized cost center. So in the past, we have a fund. It's the 225 fund. So it's the transport program fund, right? And basically, what it encompasses is the ambulance operators, all the employees that work on the ambulances, the equipment, things of that nature, capital replacement to replace ambulances, all of those types of things, right? So prior to me getting into my position now, it was very difficult. Like it was difficult to figure out how much is this actual fund making. It's definitely, the revenue's definitely there, and they use it. We use it in the city. But it's to pinpoint exactly how much, it got very complicated. So what we've done is restructured it where anything that has to do with EMS is in this fund. And with that, all the firefighters that were on those ambulances, because they're so expensive, we took them out. So what happens when you look at that centralized cost center, within that cost center, the revenues increased dramatically. And that also, it increased dramatically even with adding in a capital replacement fund, which is meant to pay for all of our fire or all of our ambulances over the years. All of the mandated equipment replacement, like those monitors, they expire. We have to replace those, and those are very expensive. With our CPR machines, we have those that you've seen, the thumpers. So those things, those are very expensive to replace. But there's mandates that require us to cycle them out and buy new ones. We can't just use them into perpetuity, which at home you probably would, but not here. So all of that's included. So within that centralized cost center, the revenue is greater, and what that revenue is going to be used for is, it could be for other things that fire department needs, but more importantly, if we are whole and we have everything we need and we've grown to where we want to be, that's used to offset the general fund for the city if it's in a deficit or they can't meet expenditures and revenues. That actual fund is used to offset those costs. So that's where we've definitely made some strides and changes to make that, you know, budgeting better. So thank you.
Any other questions? See in the back hand and the Pat. Pat, you're so far back there, Pat.
Okay, I'll stand up. That makes much difference. I'll stand up. I wanted to just say thank you to our firefighters who show up at so many community activities and provide food and always so gracious and kind. And I think your culture really shines through on what you do with our community. So thank you.
Thank you, Pat. We really appreciate it.
I saw one more hand.
You might want to mention our foundation that we're just starting.
Thank you. Yeah, so we have a foundation now. Like, you know, the question always happens, not only with wildfires, but now with all the wellness that I've been talking about and mentioning for firefighters, right? We now have a foundation. It's the Orange Firefighters Foundation for donations for all of the things. We just had a golf tournament to kind of bolster that up. Some of you were there. Thank you for being there, Garrett. And we raised a significant amount of money for our firefighters, and what that money would be used for is to support any needs that they have, especially when it comes to wellness, or if we need to help other fire departments for like such as Palisades, and we need to donate money to a program that's going to help the citizens of that place. But those are what that money is used for, and it's something that we just started, and we have a board, and it's a very good program that, of course, we support wholeheartedly. So thank you for bringing that up, T.
I see one more question.
Yes, I just wanted to ask, what motivated you to choose this path and grow into it?
So that's an interesting question. Could be long. I'll try to keep it short. So growing up, I didn't want to be a firefighter. That wasn't even in my wheelhouse. Coming from Asian family, you know, I was supposed to be a doctor. And I wanted to be a doctor. I was, as a young boy, I remember saying, I want to go to Princeton and I want to be a doctor and do surgeries, was my thing.
Yeah.
And I followed that path all the way up. I went to UCI.
Okay.
I was a bio major there, took the MCATs and all that stuff, and I've even been on a medical mission to the Philippines with doctors and served as first nurse. I've worked, I could go on the countless jobs I've done before this to attempt to get myself to being a physician. However, you know, at some point in your life, you kind of realize, like, I am not having fun. I used to love doing different things, like, you know, school and that sort of thing, sports as well. But I was like, man, I'm not having fun anymore. So in the very, very back of my mind, when I was younger, I remember asking myself a question: what am I going to do if I'm not a doctor, or if I'm not a physician? What am I going to do? And I remember thinking, maybe a firefighter. That might be cool, because all boys like fire engines and all that stuff, right? I remember bringing that up. My mom's like, no, you're just going to be a doctor. So I said, okay. But anyways, when I started not having fun anymore and everything else, I started to explore different things. And there was a roommate of mine who was pursuing the fire service. And we were, you know, basically bosom buddies. There was like 7 of us in this house. We all went to college together, and we still lived together after. It was very fun. But he was like, you know, you need to. He's like, why don't you look into this fire service thing? You know, you like sports. We do everything, like, you know, active together, work out, all that stuff. He's like, and you, with your medical background, you might be able to do this firefighter paramedic thing. I'm like, really? And I'm like, that's like emergency medicine. That'd be great, because I wanted to be either ER or OR doctor, but now I could do the emergency room stuff out in the field. So that's where I started to pursue it. And once I took my first fire tech class at Santa Ana College, I never looked back. It was amazing. It was one of those things where it's like I was having fun in school again. It was great. And it was very easy for me to be involved. I only regretted it once, and when I went to paramedic school. We do our rotations in the hospital, where we have to do intubations and those sort of things, right? And you're in the operating rooms, so it's something that I really wanted to do before. But it wasn't until I went and it was heart surgery. And so there was a surgeon that was doing open heart surgery, and they said, do you want to come in this one and do the intubation and stuff? I'm like, that'd be great to see how this works. And they said, but if you come in, you have to sit there for 8 hours. You cannot leave. It's just that, because of course it's a very high critical type of surgery, right? So I was in there and I was watching, and they, obviously do the open heart surgery. I won't get into the details in case some of you don't want to hear about that stuff. But for long story short, the person was alive. The person was not alive. The heart was not beating. And then after the surgery, they brought the person back to life, right? So in very general terms, and it's a lot more difficult, obviously, than that. But when I was sitting there as a firefighter, right, looking at that, and when they started that heart back up, and I saw it go, and I go, oh my gosh, these are the real heroes here. These are the ones that really save lives. Our job is to stabilize and get them to the people that can actually help somebody. So that's the only time I ever regretted doing what I'm doing today, and it lasted for about 8 hours. So I woke up the next day and I was like, nope, I am so happy to be a firefighter. I love this job. And that's it. So that's what kind of motivated me.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is actually, I think, has probably led to your experience and being able to see it from that side, because all of you have such different experiences.
Yeah.
But one of the things, I think Pat mentioned it, thank you Pat for mentioning it, the culture of the Orange Department is just really like none other. We all travel to wherever we go during the day and all the things, but the culture here is just amazing. So thank you for that, and thank you for leading that.
Well, thank you for that. And it's not my saying. This is actually something that, I might be butchering this quote, but something that Sean Dimitropoulos, our previous chief, said, and it's 1,000% true in our department, is we hire for character and we train for excellence. So that's the difference. We don't just look at the skills and the abilities and the accolades of the individual. We look at their character and what has brought them to the table when we interview. And I've sat on countless panels for Orange Fire Department at every rank, and it's always those types of things. We look for the character individual, because quite frankly, not all the time, because you see a lot don't make it, but you can train all the skills that you need to be a firefighter. It's the character and everything else involved that needs to happen. That needs to be Orange's way.
Yeah, and that's very evident.
Thank you.
We're at 9 o'clock.
Oh, already.
I don't know how we got here. We didn't even talk about wildfires,
I
but
know.
We talked about things that were just so important to the community. So if you don't mind, we can wrap here.
Okay,
That's okay.
that's fine.
Is there any words you'd like for our business community that's here with us today? Any last few words?
No, I just want to say thank you for having me. This was it was a pleasure for me. If you guys need anything or have any needs, my door's always open. Our department's always open. Please give us a call, and if we can help in any way, we would love to. So thank you so much for having us.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
I have to do a couple of announcements because it's a very important week. Connie is like giving me the eye, and I was going to say it anyway. We have a huge weekend here in Orange, events all weekend long. But to kick those off, on Saturday we have our Orange May Parade, and so I hope you guys are all going to be there. The theme this year is Orange You Got It's America's Birthday, celebrating 250 years. We all know what to wear. We have all the gear that we wear like 2 or 3 times a year, so we hope to see you there on Saturday. That's put on by our foundation. We have an event mixer this week that's going to be at Los Cabos. So please come out to the mixer. That's on Thursday. I'm going to skip our ribbon cuttings that we have coming up, so please look out for those just in the interest of time. I do want to share a couple things though. So we have our Shop Local Week. This is a really fun challenge going to some of the businesses. It starts on Friday, so it's the 1st to the 7th, so pick up a passport, you can download that. Also, if you did not get your business guide, this is a beautiful, beautiful guide. So pick up your guide, also available online for those of you who do not want any paper. Special thank you to Orange Cafe. Mia is here today. Mia, thank you so much. So social media, orangechamber.com. Please look up those events and don't miss them. We want to give a special thank you to our Orange Chairman Circle sponsors who help us put these things on, our board of directors, our staff. You guys are members, and thank you so much. We will see you next month. Here, we're hosting Congressman Lou Correas. I do hope to see you the day after Memorial Day. Do not party too much. Thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you.